I got this in Thailand. I'm obsessed with it. It's such a quick and easy way to immediately center yourself and put you in a very calm state. Anyway, hello, Happy New Year. I just came back from Thailand from my 21-day retreat and then an additional week of exploring Chiang Mai. It's been an incredible journey. I feel like I've condensed a whole lifetime of experiences in a month. It's been extremely transformative. I'm a completely different person once again. And yeah, there's been so many lessons I've learned and self-discoveries I've made, and I'm really excited to share with you all. This might be a longer video, so I plan to separate it into parts and keep it organized as best as I can. But first, I want to give a little bit of context and background. So I've been on my spiritual journey since 2020, and I've worked with different teachers, been on different retreats, read tons of books, but I think Avalon is the teacher that has been the most transformative for me. I found her on YouTube a couple of years ago through fate. Her channel is very small. She's not well known at all. And she's been inactive for the last 6 years, working on her own evolution and evolving her teaching as well. So she has been completely MIA for the past 6 years. And in January 2023, she posted on her Facebook saying she's back to teach and open for one-on-one slots. I jumped on the opportunity, and I was very lucky to be able to work with her one-on-one over Zoom for 2 months, over 2 months, 8 sessions. And those sessions were mainly focused on healing, and her method of healing is very different from ones I've encountered in the past. She has the special ability to tap into your consciousness and read what's in your subconscious mind. So actually the whole session you don't talk, she's the one talking. When she says something, for example, when we were doing family healing, she would read in my consciousness that I felt very unsafe, that everyone was always fighting, there's so much disharmony. So when she's reading this stuff out loud, I would feel the corresponding emotions in my body, and my job is to feel it as deeply as I can, to go really deep into the pain in order to release it. So it's very intense, very effective. Did that for 2 months, and through that I found out about her 7-day retreat, healing retreat, which is same thing, but you're doing it as a group, which is even more intense and powerful. The 7-day in Taiwan and Hong Kong, I went to the Taiwan one, and then the 21-day retreat in Thailand, which is meant for spiritual evolution. So Avalon sort of separates the two. There's the human level and the spiritual level. On the human level, you first have to work on healing to get yourself back to what she calls the 0 point. Then you are ready to embark on your spiritual evolution. This is so that you don't bypass any of your issues through pursuing spirituality alone. So that's why I decided to do the 7-day and the 21-day, because even though I've healed a lot with the Zoom sessions, I knew there was more. And the 7-day, I would say after that, I've healed like 85 to 90% of all of my traumas and negative conditionings and all of that. So it was really powerful. And what I'm truly interested in is awakening my soul and enlightenment, honestly, to reach that state of oneness and completely being in love and bliss and joy and being able to create my own reality. So that was my intention signing up for the 21 days. Let's talk about the structure of the retreat itself. So it's 8 hours of meditation a day, silent meditation, broken up into morning, afternoon, and night. There is no talking or any interactions with anyone, no eye contact, no hand gestures, any form of communication. That includes people who worked at the resort, the cleaning ladies, everyone. They were specifically instructed not to talk to us. If you had something or emergency, you would write a note. The only exception is if Avalon talks to you, then you could reply. And Avalon's teachings is very methodical. It's very unique. I've never seen any other teacher have such a specific laid out map to spiritual evolution. But just briefly to give you some context, she separates spiritual evolution into 3 realms: consciousness, being, and heart. Consciousness is what we focus on mostly because that's the foundation. Without awareness or consciousness, you don't have anything else. So consciousness also has each of the realms has different levels you could get to. But consciousness is the most complicated one. You start with what she calls consciousness self at the back of the head. It's where your third eye chakra is, but in the back. When that's stabilized, she initiates you into pure consciousness, which is the first step of liberation. Pure consciousness is about 2 inches behind your head, which is where I'm at right now. When that's stabilized, she initiates you into samadhi, which is when your consciousness rests deeply in universal consciousness. The last step, when samadhi is stabilized, is Avalon will pull your entire consciousness self into universal consciousness core. And that's enlightenment, because then you're no longer identifying as an individual egoic consciousness. You are universe. You will feel like the universe is operating through you, and the universe is looking out through your eyes. And you become one with universal consciousness. So that's the main one that everyone works on. And being is your soul body, and eventually the goal there is for your soul to drop into source. Source is the original void, emptiness, the unmanifested realm, which also includes the manifested. And the last realm is heart. We didn't go super deep into heart, but heart is where love flows from. And it's actually very important because love is what gives everything else meaning, is the purpose of having consciousness and being. So love has to fill your entire presence and your entire consciousness. But love is more simple. You just keep connecting to your heart and you remove anything that is covering the heart, which is like trauma, negative emotions, negative beliefs, and walls, guards that you have up. So that's the summary of Avalon's teachings. Okay, let's talk about my 21-day journey. A lot of my classmates were advancing really, really fast. A lot were initiated into pure consciousness on the first day, into samadhi on day 3, and a bunch went into source and universal consciousness after that. So I felt this pressure to catch up, and I'm also the type of person that wants to do really well at the things that I care about. So there was that, but I was really struggling. In the first 4 days, I had physical issues. I wasn't an advanced meditator coming into the retreat. my maximum was 20 minutes. So my body was aching, my mind was really noisy, I couldn't be still, and I had this issue with sleepiness where I would start to doze off like 20 minutes in. And I was battling really hard every class to stay awake. So it was really tough. On day 5, I finally was able to sit still for over an hour and a half. And it's really funny, I wrote in my journal that I felt so blissful during meditation that I cried and it felt like rolling. Yeah, I reached the state in Chinese is called 定住. I'm not sure what it's called in English, but you feel so incredibly still. Your body is almost like frozen in place. It feels really heavy and you don't want to move. Sometimes a fly would land on my face or somewhere feels itchy. Normally I would want to scratch or, touch whatever. And it takes self-discipline to not move. But when you're in that 定住 state, you actually don't want to move. Like, you don't want to move. And it's very blissful. Actually, my teacher says when you've been still for enough time, you don't feel your physical body anymore. You start to connect to your soul, which is this energetic body that you have, that it's in the shape of your physical body but comes out to about here. It's very apparent. And when you're connecting with your soul, you feel the qualities of the soul. And my soul feels like incredibly peaceful, calm, blissful, and whole. It just feels like, wow, I don't need anything right anymore. Like, I am complete and happy right here. It's incredible. So on day 5, I had that amazing experience happen, but then it all went downhill after that. What happened was I kept running into obstacles. At first, it was tension on my forehead, which meant that I was not utilizing the right technique, because when you're working on the consciousness self in the back, there shouldn't be any energy in the front. And my teacher told me it was because I was trying too hard. I was using the doer energy to like accomplish a task, but actually this process should be very soft and surrendering, which I didn't know how to do apparently. And then on day 7 in the afternoon, I started to experience this insane neck tension along the sides. It felt like someone was choking me. It was really intense and really terrifying. The next day, Avalon helped me clear it. And she told me actually it was external disturbances. So outside energy and things that did not belong in my field were attaching to me. And that became a whole ordeal actually. So from day 7 all the way through day 18, I was dealing with this disturbance issue. And it was both external and internal, because the way that I was reacting to the disturbance, I was very worried, anxious, I felt helpless, I felt frustrated because it completely halted my practice. Every time I sat down to meditate, it only happened when I sat down to meditate. So if I got up and walked around, it was fine. It was really weird. So every time I sat down, the sensation of the tension, it's so severe, so excruciating, that all I could feel is the tension and then my own like frustration and worry. So I couldn't practice, connecting to my soul or like my conscious self in the back. So every single day it was torture. Every single class was dread, because I just suffered through the whole session, and I didn't know what to do because every time it was cleared, it would come back. So just imagine that, like, it was never ending. It felt like hell. And I wanted to give up so many times. I was questioning this path. I was questioning if this is for me. What am I doing here? Why am I doing this to myself? It was really hard. Might be one of the most depressing days that I've ever been through, because every day it was just so dreadful, and I couldn't talk to anyone or share with anyone. It was just completely in isolation, and I felt so alone. And the breakthrough was day 18. That night, we were having an initiation ceremony, which is the really big deal. People would go up, and it's a whole ritual, whole ceremony of people getting initiated. I was sitting there by myself in the very back, experiencing the worst disturbance / tension I have felt up until that point. It was like insanely tight on my neck. I was moving all up around my head, like down here. And earlier that day, Avalon had cleared it for me, but I came back. So I just felt completely defeated, powerless, scared. I didn't know if I would have to deal with this issue for the rest of my life, if I could even meditate. So at the end of the class, and also like the whole time, everyone was like so happy and like getting initiated, and I'm over there like, oh my God, what's happening to me? And I'm not even at level 1. Like, it's day 18. I haven't even reached the first step that people have reached on day 1. So just imagine how I felt. At the end of the class, I broke down crying, and I asked one of the volunteers there for help. His name is Danny, and he comforted me. He's like, okay, it's okay, come into my room. I will help you conduct a clearing and a process. So he told me that the entities were attaching to me because they saw how badly I wanted to succeed, and they didn't want me to succeed because they weren't successful before either. But the root of me wanting to succeed is that I'm really afraid of disappointing people and then turning away from me. When he said that, I completely cracked open. Like, I've never cried so hard in my life. I've never felt so much pain in my life before. Not even during the 7 days or any of the one-on-one healing sessions I've had before. That was how deep we were able to go. And it was like one of those source root pains that everything else sort of like stems from. And yeah, that night I reached that depth, and I found those 2 things that he was talking about, and I cried for a good 6 hours, not even joking, just completely like breaking down for 6 hours straight. Then after that whole thing, I just surrendered. I told myself, if I meditate and attention comes back, I'll just embrace it. And that afternoon, I was meditating. Tension was there, and I just was like, okay, tension's here. All right, let's sit with it. And I was able to connect so deeply with my soul that one time that I was in that Dingzhu state that I talked about earlier, and my soul had 0 emotional reactions to the tension. I was completely blissful and peaceful even with the tension. And then I just had this idea, what if I direct all of this energy, all this tension to my consciousness self in the back? And when I did that, it's crazy. I felt all the energy just instantly went into here. And my consciousness self just became so consolidated, and I felt it so clearly in the back. And I raised my hand. I was like, Avalon. This was the end of the class, so she almost didn't come over. But she decided to turn around and come over, and she's like, what's up? And I told her, can you check my consciousness self? She checked and told me, it's stabilized. I'll initiate you in the next class. And oh my god, I was so ecstatic. I skipped dinner because I didn't want to do anything that would risk losing it. And it was like the longest hour and a half of my life. But the night class came and I got initiated into pure consciousness. It was one of the happiest moments of my life, and such a miracle. And I realized everything that led up to this moment, all the obstacles, all the frustrations, was there to elevate me, to evolve me, to clear me of all of those things that I was unaware of. And when I finally did it, I had a breakthrough. So looking back, it's such a beautiful process, and I'm really grateful for everything that I've gone through. And because it took me so long to get initiated into pure consciousness, I think I cherish it and value it that much more. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for what I've been through. And also the whole time, not the whole time, at the end, there was this intuition that I kept hearing in my mind that I'm going through all of this in order to help others in the future, because I know there could be someone out there who has similar experiences to me, who has a really hard time on their path, who feels like obstacles keep showing up and life is just so hard. But I want to be that example for them. I want to be there and tell them it's okay. There is hope. There is light on the other side, because I've been through it. I've been through the dark moments and I've made it out on the other side. A part of me just feels like this whole experience was also there so that in the future I could help someone else. Let's talk about the lessons I've learned. I think the most significant lesson throughout the process is how to surrender and having the right mindset when it comes to walking on the spiritual path. Because my biggest issue was I was trying too hard, and I was coming from the ego, from a place of lack. I wanted to achieve, I wanted to attain these goals. I wanted to catch up with everyone else because I felt like I wasn't good enough, that I was inferior because I wasn't reaching those states that other people were reaching. But this journey is about finding yourself, about being intimate with your soul, about finding who you truly are and becoming that. It's really a beautiful process of self-discovery that is full of love and grace and so divinely guided. Yet I was coming at it from a place of anxiety, of worry, of force, of needing to achieve a goal to prove myself. But the soul is already whole and complete. The soul knows how to awaken. All I had to do was surrender and let the soul lead the process and have a very pure heart, pure intention of connecting with my soul. And once I let that happen, once I surrendered, once I accepted my situation, I had my breakthrough. Related to that is divine timing. So I was walking in nature one day and I came across this bush of flowers. Some were already blossomed and some were still little flower buds. And it hit me that the flower bud is not less than the flower. They're the same. They just blossom at different times. That's exactly how it is on the path. Everyone has different timing. Everyone's at different places in their journey. I don't know what other people have done in their past lives or how much they've practiced before coming to the 21 days. All I see is the result, and I'm comparing their result with my result, but we're on completely different paths. So when I'm still a flower bud, what I need to do is continue to nurture myself with water and sunlight and patience. I can't yell at the flower bud and be like, blossom already, why aren't you blossoming? That's not going to change anything. All it takes is love and patience, and one day it will blossom. That's just what will happen to a flower bud. So it's about trusting divine timing, having faith for the eventual outcome of my awakening, of me finding my soul, and really understanding on a deeper level that everything happens for me. Every experience happens for me. Every step of the process is a part of my spiritual practice. It's not like when I reach a certain level, then that's my spiritual progress. But every step of the way, every time I deal with my negative emotions, every time I'm there for myself through the hard times, every time I surrender deeper, that is me evolving. That is my spiritual progress. That is my path. Related to that as well, it's learning self-love on a deeper level. Self-love is so foundational, but time and time again I find there are different layers to it and different angles, and I could go deeper and deeper into embodying self-love. When I felt completely alone and at rock bottom, not knowing what to do, hopeless, I realized what I want the most is for me to validate me, for me to support me. And I've been looking for a love that never leaves, and that is actually myself. So being able to really, truly be there for myself, be my own biggest supporter, to love myself when there seems like there's nothing else and no one else that could help me. That brought me so much closer to myself. I feel this true intimacy with my soul that I've never felt before. And it's incredible. Self-love is one thing, but also love in general was such a big, is it a lesson? I don't know what to call it, but there are many moments throughout my 21-day journey that I felt loved and supported. And one of them was that night with Danny when he helped me do my clearing with my process. At the end, he told me, I'll be the first person to sign up to never turn away from you. And Danny is such a loving presence. He just radiates love and compassion and warmth, and just being next to him is healing. That was so inspiring for me because I realized that's exactly what I want to be. I don't care about spiritual experiences or these states that I reach. What I care about is being able to embody love and to be light, be that light in the world, to be that healing presence. And I thought to myself, you know, even if I don't achieve any states, experiencing this moment with Danny and experiencing all these other moments of love made this whole trip worth it. And it just reiterated to me that love is the meaning, love is the purpose, love is the answer to all, and love is what I want to be. I feel so inspired and so determined to embody love from here on out. And the lesson of love and self-acceptance came up during the 7 days after, when I was traveling by myself as well. One day I almost lost my phone in a taxi, and these two strangers and my friend who I had just met helped me like for 2-3 hours trying to get my phone back, calling customer service, looking this up, searching that up, calling, you know, different people. And that whole time too, I was thinking, I don't even care if I get my phone back. I'm just so happy to experience this kind of love and kindness from strangers. And I was so moved. I was so moved and so happy to have connected with these angels. Honestly, they're angels. And then the other incident was with this friend that I had just met. We had a really, really terrifying experience with edibles. She was having a bad trip, and me too, because I was worried about her. And afterwards, I felt a lot of shame and regret because it was her first time and it was my idea to try the edibles, but I didn't know they were so strong. I felt, ashamed and regret, and like, why did she do that? What if? And I was worried that she wouldn't want to be my friend anymore after that bad experience. But then I realized this is another lesson for me, because as a human, I'm going to make mistakes. People are going to make mistakes. We're not always going to be perfect. And it's moments like this where you show yourself love. It's easy to love yourself when everything's going well and you're peaceful and you're loving. It's easy to accept and love that version of yourself. But when you make mistakes, when you're anxious, when things don't go as planned and you mess up, it's those moments where you have the opportunity to really show yourself love. So now I want to talk about where I'm at now and my goals for the future. So right now I'm in pure consciousness, which means my sense of self is about 2 inches behind my head right here. I've never been sensitive to energy before, but if I do this, I feel like I'm touching myself, but I'm touching air. It's really wild. So my consciousness is back here, and I feel like I'm watching myself do everything, observing myself operate in the world. So I'm never fully engrossed in what I'm doing or the external world. On the airplane right back, I was watching a movie and I was able to maintain this awareness too. So it's pretty cool. There's more of a distance between me and my external reality. So I find myself reacting a little bit less. I still feel emotions, but they aren't as intense. And there's a background awareness there. So I'm able to process it and clear it more efficiently. And I'm able to put a little space between me and whatever rises up, so I don't get completely identified with it. my vision is more expanded. Like, I see more of my peripheral because I'm back here, which is pretty cool. I do feel very connected to my soul, especially in meditation. When in that state where I'm deeply connected to my soul, I feel completely still and peaceful and calm. There's this underlying joy that rises up as well, a type of bliss. And it just feels like I'm whole. I don't need anything. I'm so happy. And I'm just being here by myself. There's nothing that I fear, that I'm worried about. Sometimes I do a test, like when I'm in that state, I think about something that normally would bring me some worry or frustration, and I find that I have no reaction. So I plan to continue to stabilize my pure consciousness and hopefully get initiated into Samadhi, my Avalon, when I'm ready. And for my soul to continue to strengthen my soul body so that I could drop into source when I'm ready. But one big shift in my life right now is how much I'm prioritizing my spirituality. Before, it was important to me, but it wasn't my number one priority. I didn't make time to meditate every day, and I would fall into old patterns and things that didn't align with my highest path, which is okay, you know, I'm human. But I think after the 21 days, it really, what's the word, motivated me, because after connecting with my soul, after having a glimpse of what that's like, of what freedom and liberation could be like, and now I know it's so possible for me because I've seen so many people in 21 days achieve that. There is no other desire that is stronger than the desire to fully embody my soul, to embody love, and to be a light in this world. Like, it has become my top priority. And it's like, now my whole life shifts, because now everything I do, I'm considering, okay, is this helping me on my path or not? And I've become so clear on what it is that I want, and having this clarity and this determination, this motivation is really great. I was really struggling with this before. I think my ego was convincing me to run away from meditation and being with myself because I was scared. I didn't know what to expect, and my ego didn't want to be eradicated. But the truth is, the ego is not going to be eradicated. We're on earth, we're a human, we need the ego to operate, but it's just that the soul will be leading, and the ego, it's submitting and surrendering to the soul. So yeah, I'm really excited for what's to come. I feel that this is just the beginning of my journey, and I have a feeling, because I've done so much work on healing and really taking care of the human aspect of myself, now I'm really ready to grow spiritually. And that part, I feel like, isn't as difficult, honestly. Like, when you could just surrender and be in that flow of spiritual evolution, everything happens so quickly now. Everything's so accelerated that if you want, you could be liberated in a year or two, or even less if you really try. So what an exciting time to be on Earth right now. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for watching. Would love to hear any feedback and answer any questions you may have. And hopefully we'll be on this journey together and grow together. Much love. See you next time.